Hi, welcome back to the studio. My name's Jamison Jones, and today I wanted to talk to you about the moment before. The moment before is a piece of jargon that a lot of actors use, a lot of teachers use, and a lot of directors use to talk about a moment that precedes a scene. Now, the moment before in any given situation is the moment that directly precedes the moment that we're about to lead into. But for an actor, I want to clearly define what this moment before is all about. A lot of actors get very heady about what the moment before is, and they start talking about what preceded this moment, what happened just before this moment. But for my money, what the moment before is most effectively used for is to set up the moment that we're going to step into. The moment before is that moment that aids where the scene begins. So, for an audition situation, it might be different than if we're shooting a movie, and it might be different again if we're on stage. So, the moment before, for me, has two parts. Part one is, what do you need to do as a human being, as an actor, as an artist, to get where you need to be able to play this material most effectively, right? We all have to find a way to get into the mindset of where the character exists. What is the inner emotional truth of the character in that situation? What are the given circumstances? What's the relationship? What's the sense of place? All of these things are key, crucial, and pivotal to setting up what I need as a human being, what I need as an actor to get me to the place that I need to get to be able to play this scene. And for each situation, it's going to be very different. For each audition, it's going to be very different. There are places that you'll be comfortable. There are rooms that you'll be comfortable in. There are situations that are brand new to you that you don't know what to expect. Producer sessions, callback sessions, and testing sessions can put an incredible amount of pressure on the actor. So knowing what you need to get to a place where you can exist, believably exist inside the confines of the given circumstances is what's important in this situation. Like I said, for each situation, it's going to be different. Maybe for this particular thing, you need to listen to a piece of music. Maybe for this thing, you need to read a couple of the scenes beforehand. Maybe you need to be quiet in your mind and do a little bit of meditation before you walk into the office, or do the self-tape, or walk into the producer session, or walk out on stage. Well, what is it that you need to focus your attention on the given circumstances and the task at hand? And for each actor, like I said, it's going to be a very special thing. Now, the other side of the moment before is, what can you do through physical action? What can you do through physical action to set up the moment that precedes the start of the scene? And that moment, through physical action, needs to, for my money, incorporate place, relationship, or the inner emotional life of the character, inner emotional truth of the character. And there are a number of ways that we can do that. Now, a great moment before can incorporate all three of those things, but we got to have at least one of those things, and it has to be expressed through physical action. Now, like I said earlier, a lot of actors can get very heady about what the moment before is. They can talk about where they came from, and they can talk about how they got there, and they can talk about what the given circumstances have led them to decide about the scene and about their entrance. And then, of course, they just start the scene. And I go, okay, well, great, but where's the moment before? Oh, I just told you the moment before. Well, the moment before is only effective if the audience experiences it. So the moment before has to be physical action. It has to be something. It doesn't have to be big, but it has to be something that gets expressed through physical action. So we start a scene. It's in a dark cafe. The bad guy is in the corner. My first line is, "We can't talk here." So instead of walking into the audition situation, talking to the casting director, talking to the director, the producers, "Hey, how are you? Good, how are you? Okay, whenever you're ready." We can't talk here. Right? Then I'm sort of starting from nothing. And I don't have the support of a strong moment before to guide me into the essence of what's happening in the scene and the given circumstances. So perhaps in this situation, instead of just jumping in, leaping into the scene, I take a moment to observe my sense of place, to pinpoint the bad guy in the corner, and then to lean into my scene partner, speak a little bit more sotto voce, and make this a more private moment. So the scene might begin something like this. We can't talk here. It's a very simple thing. It's a very simple thing, and it's a very tiny detail, but it's monumentally different than starting from nothing. So that's the idea of playing a little sense of place with the moment before. That's number one. Now, a sense of the inner emotional truth of the character is another part of the moment before, or it can be. So what's happening inside the character? Is the character filled with stress and anxiety? Are they calm, cool, collected, and put together? Or is that calm, cool, collected, and put together just an external veneer that hides the truth of what's going on inside? And a lot of actors will say, well, I don't want to show that. I don't want to display that. I don't want to say that. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't let anyone see that. Of course, that might be true. But that doesn't mean we don't want to let the audience see that. We don't want to show them. We don't want to telegraph anything. But we want to let the audience see what's going on in the inner side of the character. So perhaps there's a moment where I create a little bit of anxiety. And again, through some kind of physical action, that I'm about to start the scene where I'm meeting my good friend at the cafe and telling him that it's great to see him. But before I leap into that moment, I have this moment of anxiety about what's going on with the home life and the stuff that I want to share with him. But I can't because I'm so stressed, but I want him to think everything's cool and everything's confident and I'm all put together. So I have this moment before the scene starts where, hey, John, it's so good to see you. Right? I cover up with a very thin veneer this idea of the inner emotional truth of the character. So we've got place, we've got a sense of the inner emotional life of the character, and now we talk about relationship. What is the relationship of these two characters? And we can also have relationship to inanimate objects. We can have relationship to a sense of place. But right now, specifically, I'm talking about the relationship to the other character. Is this an intimate relationship? Is it a love relationship? Is it a sexual relationship? Defining that relationship is key, crucial, and pivotal. We have to understand what that relationship is before we can give a sense of it. Brothers ribbing on each other, couples that do baby talk, adding a little bit of role play, gameplay into this relationship can be useful as well. The way that I approach a stranger on the street is going to be very different than the way that I approach my best friend. It's going to be very different than the way that I approach my lover. So we have to be very specific about the way that we approach the relationship and try to imbue the moment before with an essence of that. So, again, the moment before, two parts to it. What is it that I need as the actor to get where I need to be? The emotional place, understanding the given circumstances in the relationship. What do I need to do to focus my attention in on what's happening in the script? Part two is what can I do through some physical action to ground myself in the work and let the audience into a little element of what's happening in the scene before it even begins. This is what makes people sit forward when they're watching your tape, when they're sitting in the audition situation or the callback situation or the test situation. That moment where you embed yourself in the given circumstances through some physical action before the scene even begins. So I hope that gives you a clearer sense of at least what I mean when we're discussing the moment before. You can watch this and other videos at the links below. Thanks for watching.